Hello and welcome to Conversations in the Nick of Time. I'm your host, Nicci Roach, and it is always an amazing time to bring you something new, something fresh, something borrowed, something blue. I'll throw all that in there. Well, today I have the honor of not only bringing you another amazing show. For this segment, I am so honored to have accepted the invitation to be the speaker for Kingdom Women Ministries, headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri, under the leadership of Dr. Debra Iron-El. And I am so nervous, but I am so excited about what's to come. And I am going to kind of somewhat freestyle it and speak from the heart this time. So this is what's gonna make it so special. But yet we're gonna have an amazing time learning from one another. So stay tuned.
Get your questions ready, for you. So come on, talk to us.
Okay.
Dr. Roach, please.
Nicci, I'm almost there. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so used to saying good evening, but good morning, everybody. It is indeed an honor to be here, beyond honored to be here. And I am fighting through nervousness. Yes, I am nervous, even though I do this all the time. And I have such high regard and respect for you, and the call upon your life. So I knew I had to get your stuff together because you're going before greatness. I have to salute our shared man, Pastor Roan. He brought us together, as you mentioned, years ago. And we just instantly connected and bonded. And so we couldn't get rid of each other.
No.
And this was an idea. You were talking it out. So I am just beyond honored, like, to see the fruit of your labor. Yes. So yes. And so I'm gonna turn a little bit so I can project. So that alone has shown us a leadership lesson. You don't even realize. And I tell people it's not always what you say, but it's the action that you take. And so even us being here, and it was just an idea when I met you years ago down on 801.
That's right.
But to see, and then this room is like, you're right, this is all we needed. Because when I tell you, and don't put me after Elder Lisa ever again, because you just messed us all up at the beginning. But that fire, she's right. We prayed for that fire to come in, right?
We did.
So the burn is there, so we don't have to not think that burn is there. Also want to acknowledge the fact that you had this idea and this vision, and then you had individuals to come along and help out after a while.
Yes.
But God had to mature and develop and take you through a process all the way through to get you to this point. Because had he done this for you a couple years ago, we wouldn't have even been ready. So it's like always understanding that there is a process. I've not even gotten to my notes yet. This is just to you. So understanding that you're in the right place at the right time. And even that whole shutdown, we needed that.
I believe that.
We needed that. And it's so amazing how we can want something so badly, and you know how we do when it's that purse or those pants, wide leg ivory silk pants at Dillard's that we really, really want. We're watching them, right? And making sure when they go on sale. And so we, with intention, because we want, but when it comes to the things of God and the call of our lives, I'll get to it. But that same intention, just no different than us coming and gathering here today. And we prepared. You didn't just hop out of bed and just drive down here. There was some intentionality around, even those of us who didn't even know where we were coming. What did? We looked it up, right? Yes. Map quested, got instructions and followed the instructions. Yes. Those of us that got a little smart, we ended up on the wrong side of that fence over there. But it's life, right? And so it's exactly the same way, but the things of God. And so I remember when I had, shifting now, so those who know, I see so many amazing, beautiful faces. And it's so funny because it's like we're now all grown up now, and all my lovelies. And so my father, Pastor Charles Roach from Trinity Mount Carmel.
Oh, yes.
When he passed, there was so much pressure I felt to be next. But I didn't want that. One, I'm not trying to do the stuff of the church because I know how they are. And then especially after being a first family. And also like that was his thing, not my thing. And he never pressured me to follow but he knew how to tap in and he knew how to set me up. And I know, and I'm reaping from that today. So you moms and dads and TTs, I'm not a natural, I don't have natural children that I have birthed, but we all are assigned to a group. We all are assigned to someone. So being mindful of that, you have to be mindful that you're positioned right where you need to be. I did jot down a couple things, just to kind of frame this a little bit. So turn to someone that's sitting next to you or close to you and just say, you have what you need. No, really. You have what you need. You have what you need. Now turn to someone else and say, in case you didn't know. Wait a minute, say it again with a little attitude. In case you didn't know. I'm kind of a big deal. Amen. So as I continue to unpack what all that means, I was running from what God was calling me to do because I didn't realize that I had everything I needed. I was looking at what my father had, what my mother had, and listening to the outside voices of what they did and what I should. So everybody had a word. But God will not set you up to put you in a place where he's not already spoken to your heart. So be mindful. If those are taking notes, be mindful who you're listening to. Then also I had to realize, okay, I do have a little something. And that's not arrogance. Because my father used to always tell me there's two sides of pride. Pride, I know I can do it. I know I'm all that. The boastful. But then on the other side, I can't do it. Do I really have what it takes to do it? Can I really pull this off? God, I don't even have what I need to put. That's still pride because he said, who's on the throne? I. You're looking at I. So I just need you to get in position and watch me send what you need. Watch me send what you need. And so if I had to put this brief moment that we're together under a theme, it would be handpicked with a handout. So handpicked with a handout. And so when I am an educator at heart, so anyone who follows me know I'm going to define a word of some sort. So the word is handpicked. This is an act of selecting carefully with a particular purpose in mind. And when we talk about this, like even right now, it's what? You may not be into football. Right now it's football, it's basketball. Anyway, okay, I see we got. A coach goes out and he's not just going to randomly pick somebody to be on the squad, right? He's going to watch, he's going to monitor. And you know how they even go down now to high school, but now even down to junior high to watch you mature and grow and develop. Guess what? God has been doing the same thing for you, preparing and watching. But what's so interesting, so you have this hand-picked process that happens. And then to anchor this in some scripture, let's consider the book of Exodus where we are introduced to Moses. And first acknowledging that Moses' mom, going back to the statement I mentioned, positioned him, intentionally positioned him to have better.
That's right.
And to have success. And so I'm reading without my glasses. We learn of the journey of Moses, and there's a maturation process. So he has to grow up. He has to, thank you. He has to grow up. He has to go through the process. He has to make sure that he is, he could go out and do whatever he wanted to do, but yet there is a process that we each have to go through. You cannot overstep that. And those of us who have, at some point, God tapped us on the shoulder and sat our butt down, right? Or either we end up with more mess than we had before we even started.
That's true.
So that's the maturation process. So he grows up in a foreign place. Don't run from places don't feel comfortable. Amen. So he is now dealing with the rejection of his own people. Yes. His own are not even embracing him and accepting him. Then his life is threatened. He sinned and got called out for it. It was public. Nonetheless, we find him consistently positioned to serve other people. So he did not negate his call.
That's right.
So there's another lesson for us in regards to you may be doing what you're doing. Issues getting talked about, not feeling good in a place that doesn't feel comfortable. You don't fit in. You're not supposed to fit in. I had to learn that lesson. You're not supposed to fit in. God has called us to stand out. He already says we're the light of the world. But everything we do goes against that, right? Everything we do goes against that. We're dimming that light at all times. Like we spend more energy in that space than we do in the space of letting it shine, right? So not knowing, God had already had him handpicked for greater work. The journey goes on, and on a particular assignment he is assigned. One that seemed impossible when it was shared with him. And he found every excuse. That's what we do. Every excuse to talk him out of, even trying to recommend some other folk, right?
That's true.
That's what we do.
That's true.
And so I found that we don't necessarily have to fall back, because I think even in the church isms, we have diluted this whole idea of humility and no, I don't, no. And it's not that we can be humble, but still confident. You cannot say you're going to go in and shift an atmosphere and be like, You can't do that. You cannot. So the thing is, even if they, just like in Moses' case, they knew they had reason to cast him out, but God still used him. God still allowed the assignment to be fulfilled through him, even though there were better people. But because, going back to the definition, he was carefully selected with a particular purpose in mind. So for you to understand that you are here to be just reminded that you have what you need. Yeah, you may be talked about. Matter of fact, I heard if they're not talking about you, you're not doing nothing. Because there's nobody that's a rock star and not being talked about. And then we do the same thing. Because oftentimes when we're not like, she thinks she's cute. That's because she is. That's because she is. Learn to say thank you. So God's response in Exodus 3:21 says, Moses, you will not be leaving empty-handed. So as I bring these thoughts to a close and yield to Dr. Iron-El and you, understanding that Moses, he says, Moses, you will not be leaving empty-handed. Now we should all just be in the floor at this point. Because that's a promise. Despite all the stuff that God has walked him through, that God has exposed to us in this scripture, in this text, all this stuff. And you know how we are. We will throw somebody to the side in a heartbeat. But God took every possible thing. His people, how he was born, where he was born, how he was brought up. And still he was carefully selected. With everything that he needed. So the thing is, stop. You were talking about burnout, and yes, there are times when we need to pause, and we're not superheroes. We are human beings. But you cannot allow that though to be, because even myself at one point, you use that as a cover-up to not handle your business.
Leave me alone.
No, it's true. It's true. So we find ourselves busy doing things that are distractions, but then we find ourselves giving the distraction too much attention. So it takes up all your time. So yes, you're burnt out. You should be burnt out because you've been spinning your wheels over something that's not even going to elevate you or take you to the next place. So why do we give it that space? Why would we give it? So stop giving stuff space. Take a moment. Next time something comes up and you're feeling off-centered, fall back a little bit and say, okay, what's the issue here? How do we move forward? Let me not feed and give this energy. Because you're going to need it, but we're burnt out because we're spending time on the wrong stuff. So you have no space for anything else. No space at all. So then we get to this point. The journey goes on, and a particular assignment, one that seems impossible, is shared with Moses. And he calls out all the reasons why he can't be the one. Can't possibly be the one. I know, I'm with you, Moses. I'm with you. He tells God how he is ill-equipped to be considered. And God's response in Exodus 3:21, as I said, you're not going to be empty-handed. And so it is just a matter of Moses now, again, understanding that he was handpicked, but now he has this handoff. And just to unpack handoff real quick, handoff was not just instructions, but also giving him this space to have this transfer. So when we look up the word handoff, it's defined as the transferring from one to another.
Yes. Yes.
Let that sink in. The transfer from one to another, to transfer something to another's possession, to pass or delegate or task or responsibility to another. So if he said, I'm not going to leave you empty-handed, that's a handoff. So again, remember, we have what we need. But also he said, let this mind that is in me be you. So why are we crazy? Because we're spending time in the wrong places. Why are we saying that we don't have enough when he said, I have a cattle on 1,000 hills? And guess what? And we are heirs of that.
We are.
But we walk around with this scarcity, this positioning of scarcity as if it's not enough with one another and with self. How do you think God feels about that? When he's already handpicked you, he's promised you a handoff, and you're going to go sit down somewhere.
Wow. All right.
Questions?
Wow.
No. So then the handoff was not just about the instructions, but also every possible thing he would need to be victorious. And with that assignment and some. And the thing is also that we have to be mindful that God has assigned a particular group to you or persons to you.
That's true.
Some of these people you will never, ever meet or even know their names, but they've been assigned to you. And because of your decision to live, say yes to the call, you're going to cause them to live. So can you imagine the responsibilities that you now know that you have? If you are reminded that you have, people are waiting on you. They are waiting on you. They are waiting on you. Let me tell you and be transparent. I still wrestle like Moses did. And I'm not my dad. I'm not my mom. But now I'm finding I am a little of my dad and I am a little of my mom. But I had to open it up and realize that it is not about me echoing their life or mirroring their lives outside of the outside of their demonstration of their faithfulness to the call. And so they demonstrated that for me, even in illness. Show up and show out because of him. And in that, now it's a matter of once I made up my mind and surrendered, not once, I had to do it once to even get started, because I thought I was started, but not until I gave a yes. God began to open those doors and send what I needed. And then it was hard for me to even accept what I needed. What I knew I needed.
Wow.
Couldn't even accept it. What are you passing up? Because then you're preventing someone else from being blessed. But also God, he's giving you a handout. He's giving you everything you need. But you're saying no to the wrong things and yes to the drama. And so we got to get to this point of being honest with ourselves. Because some of this burnout, we're signing up for it. We're signing up for it. So it's time for us to shift. It's time for us to find ourselves in better space. And you said this morning, I was like, what's the goal? And you said you wanted us to leave understanding there's better.
That there is better.
You already have it. Do you want it? And if so, start acting like it. And then for me, I had to start expecting it. So I started looking for it. I'm looking for it. And I still wrestle. With accepting it. But my thing is people are waiting on you. And so there is life and death in the tongue. It first starts with self. So I had to say, yes, I am kind of a big deal. And I don't mean that arrogantly, because of him. And I have everything that I need. So when you show up, people should see that in you. They should see that in you as you are walking, I'm talking just into the space. And so with that, understanding that, again, you are handpicked. Nobody can change that, not even you. You can't even change. So you can wrestle all day. And I was speaking with Elder King when we were, and Minister and Dr. Annette Fields during breakfast time, and I said, it's just amazing like how all this stuff is in place and in position, but we're not willing to lean into it. We're failing to lean into it, and it's right there. Like the table has been set, but we're like, what do you have? What's over there? Like, or why did it get more than me? So God has you can't handle more. This is what I mean. This is what I mean by the honesty. You can't handle more. Let's look at the people with I'm going to say the sisters with the talents. You got one got two, one got three. We are responsible at the end of the day. And we don't say this. That's why I said it's not about arrogance or bragging. It's about making up your mind to serve and to be used. Because you're not going to get the opportunity again. We are leaving out of here daily. But those of us who know that this is just temporary anyway, how are you going to speak up for the investment that God has placed in your life? So you're gonna have to be accountable. So that's what shook me and woke me up as well. He's like, I've given you this stuff to do. Even just like Moses, your parents have strategically positioned you. It's on you. Make up your mind. That's what I mean by the honest conversation. Make up your mind. And you can tell how you're making up your mind by, as I said, the fruit, but also what's coming, what you're attracting.
All right.
What you're attracting will echo a whole lot in regards to what is really going on and how are things really going down. So be mindful of that. But you're right where you need to be, though. And today we're just here to remind you, you really are a big deal. Not even kind of. You really are a big deal. And how little you may think you have, you actually have the most. Because God will take that and expand it. I am witnessing it right now. And I'm learning the power You know, we grow up with all these cliches and quoting all these scriptures, but when you begin to, that's the grandmas and what's that? Just live a little.
That's right.
Keep on living.
Keep on living.
When I tell you God is faithful, once you make up your mind, God is faithful. And he will blow your mind. And that's why I'm like, why is it that you want to stay down there? When you possess it already, but you refuse to step up. You refuse to step up. And so today I challenge you to step up. Don't run. Take your time, because it's scary.
It is.
It's change. We say, God, I want this. God, I want that. And he begins to change things, and we resist the change. But you asked for that. Yes. It's not coming the way you anticipated. And that's the thing. Okay, God, just stay right in this space here. But you know what I want. No, he is not a bellman. We can't just ring the bell when we're wanting and ring the bell when, no, not that. I didn't want that. But and slow down with life. Like, we're so busy, but not producing nothing. So slow down so you can even hear what he's trying, because it's clear. That's that live a little bit. This is what it does, right?
It does.
It does, yeah.
Wow. The next time you want to counsel me, would you please do it in private? I'd really appreciate that.
No, but you have to understand, like, I am in this space right now. You can't lead where you've not been. So that's why I'm saying you've got to lean into it. Trusting that, did he not already do it for you before? He's the same God, and he's going to do it. He's going to do it even greater the next time. And stop holding on to, you can't hold on to this down there, and he's pulling you up here. You like this. It'll never work. Talking about burnout, it will not work. Pick a side. Pick a side. And I don't knock. That's why I said wherever you are right now is the right place you're supposed to be. But this is daily decision. Just like give us to say our daily bread. He's going to give you what you need. But you've got to decide. So you still eating leftovers from yesterday? He's giving you something fresh every day. But we're too busy. We're ignoring. We have a better idea, even though I asked you, but I have a better idea. Get your decision process together. And all that falls off, people, places, and things, so be it. Everything can't go where God is sending it. Can't. Tried it. Lost a couple years of life. But I don't have that kind of time to lose anymore. So there's an urgency behind the efforts that I do now that I've said yes. So that yes is daily. Just remember that.
That is wonderful. Thank you. Hallelujah. And I saw many of you taking notes, and I know that, there are some of you that will have questions, because I know that it certainly reached you as it reached me as well. One of the things that you talked about was positioning and portion. Yeah. And it is important in that same story, in that same historical fact of your talking about Moses. And so the first thing come to my mind is how his mother positioned him in the Nile River. Yeah. And so I'm saying, is that the position that we want to be in? And then it comes to me, God does not allow his seed to sink. No. It's not going to happen. And what he had already planted in Moses before he even was brought forth out of his mother's womb was that seed to be the deliverer. And he was not going to let that seed sink. Yeah. Though sometime we feel like we're sinking. We feel like we're sinking. Talk to us about when we feel like we're sinking at times. And then there was something else that you also said, you know, that humility of not wanting this accolades and all of that. And may I be transparent, is that my net to him, my husband, Brother Todd, who's we call him Kingdom Man. Mr. Rohn is a kingdom man, but he often pushes me to do more. No matter where we go, there's someone who knows me, someone who says, I've heard you speak, or I know your voice, and it goes on. And I was always pushing that away. And I realized one of the reasons I would push it away is because he called to accountability.
Correct.
So when you speak about, you know, God has called us to one another or to a group, like he called Kingdom Women to all of you, some things I didn't want any more of because it was accountable. It had to be accountable. Awesome. Being here with you, Dr. Caldwell, before these cameras that
I know, give them a hand, all in media.
It's amazing.
Music and media.
It's amazing. You know, we cannot go down from here. We have to go up from here, Sister Candace. We have to go up from here. Yeah. And so it couldn't come for 2 years.
Yeah. But it was all in the making, though. Because I too, as I mentioned, there's been COVID in that 2.5, almost 3 years now.
3 years.
I needed that. I needed to stop and ask some real questions of myself. What are you doing? Why are you doing it?
Yes. Yes.
Who do you need to be doing it with? What needs to go in your life? What are you holding on to that's already dead? Like all of these questions I had, and I didn't have an escape. I had to answer these and more questions. I had to answer these questions for myself with nowhere to go. Couldn't even spend no money. And that's usually, you know, we all have a thing. Yes. I don't care. I'd say we all have a thing. And so I learned to cook during COVID.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely. Look, yeah, I think I'm a chef now. So it's not my call though. But again, having that time to spend, to sit still, to have those real conversations. And that's one thing I've learned. We say we want certain things, but we're not really ready for them. But God is so good and so gracious that as you said, he's so patient with us, that he still allows the time to be restored. That's right. And so you can't look back and say, oh, you know, had I known, like, I would have got myself together like 5 years. No, you wouldn't have. No, you did what you did. We made our decisions, but the thing is now to make better decisions. And when one comes up, we know like, oh shoot, that was not the best decision. But we understand that it becomes a muscle. It's just like a muscle. It's going to go work out, or learning how to get to somebody's, you know, house, and it's a new street or a new area. It takes time to get familiar with that. And so it's the same thing, but what's so great, God positions us to where we get the rhythm and we kind of learn, and then he shifts things. So that's what I mean by you have to make time to be still, because if you're not still, you lose the shift. Or I say it's just like driving down the highway and somebody's driving and you're like, oh, get off, you know, here at Tucker. And they're like straight ahead, and now you're over across the MLK bridge. Because so watch who you're allowing to drive the direction of your traffic. The traffic of your life needs to be driven by you. Grab the wheel. grab the wheel.
That's so true. That's so. We're going to be open for questions now. We have some questions that you might want to ask. This is your time. This is the place.
Or just a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do have a question. I do also thank you because I came here not knowing, and you just made me reminisce about years ago. I had a conversation with my pastor about starting a women's group, or women's ministry. That's always what I thought my calling was for. It had something to do with me having ladies growing up, raising my children. But you remind me of the fire I used to have. However, there's a roadblock.
It's there.
It's a roadblock. And you just kind of like, you don't know how to open that door or how, oh man, you were all up in my business. Because not only did I think pride was that one, but I also had that other side. And the other side was like, oh my God, can I really do this? Yeah. I got all kind of notes, books, and all this that I've wrote for years. But it's something in me that feels like I can't go forward. It's a roadblock, and I don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
And like I said, you was all up in my business.
Yeah.
So,
I hear someone over here saying it's fear. Yes. I can hear somebody. Oh, because that's what I still wrestle with that. And it is, but what I did, I positioned myself around some women who were already doing what I wanted to do. It wasn't the same. And even those who were kind of similar to what it was, our assigned audiences were totally different. And then even if you put us in the same room, my lived experiences, you could never deliver the way I could. And I could never deliver the way that you could. And that's why it takes all of us working together. And that's why God has called us to be a body.
That's right. That's right.
It takes all of us. So my recommendation is finding someone, in this, we're just talking leadership, finding someone in ministry or not in ministry. Because there's a lot of things, by me being able to do things in corporate and in the marketplace and in a global space, I'm able to, everything I do is ministry. They just don't know. They just don't know. Even when I'm doing diversity and inclusion training, they don't know they had Bible study. I'm just teaching love. That's all I'm doing. The love of God. But I found individuals, and this is something that I think in my lifetime and working with individuals, specifically Black women, we won't come together to work to understand that you have something I need and I have something you could use. You can't outshine me, and I can't outshine you. That's why I started, in case you didn't know, I'm a big deal. But you are too. And that's for you, echo it back, because we need both, and we need those lived experiences to be shared. Just like they have a visionary for this work in this ministry, but there's a host of them that you can tap into. They all bring something to the big pie, to the puzzle. And so I say find someone in the marketplace as well as ministry, and just learn. Go on an inquiry tour, as I call it, because when something comes up for me, there is nothing new under the sun. It's just your fingerprint on it. So find some people who are doing something similar and just ask questions, ask for 30 minutes. People are always willing to share what they're doing. They love that moment, and it gives them a chance to reflect because we're busy. So do that. Somebody from marketplace and somebody from ministry, just learn, because one thing I've learned, and I'm still being pushed by a team, because I had one thing, accountability. I knew there are certain things that trip me up still today. So I have people in place to question me, to push me, to ask about deadlines. Sometimes it's annoying. I'm so serious. And it's like, but they stay on me, because if not, I would drag my feet, and it's fear. Because I had to have that honest questioning conversation with myself. Why do I feel like I'm like spinning my wheels a little bit? Or start, stop. But I had to learn consistency. But not until I put some people, and not friends, these are not friends, not yes people, not, oh girl, this is so great. No, tell me that was, you were raggedy, right? So be mindful of that. Be mindful of that.
You know, even when Kingdom Women Ministries was being formed, one of the first questions we asked of each other, where is your place in leadership? You know, what's your topic? What's your flavor in teaching? Mine was leadership, and we just kind of went prayer. You know, she did everything over there.
No, congratulations.
But, you know, but hers, she's an educator, and so it was training and teaching and coaching. And we never stepped over one another, but we did enhance, we encouraged, we polished one another and pushed.
Yeah.
Can I be truthful? We pushed each other.
And that's why you have to come together. But as I was saying, Black women, it's just, we've got to get over this. Every other community, they don't even have to like each other, but they're going to handle this business deal. They're gonna get that money. They're gonna close that business. They're gonna have some kind of exchange. But for us, it's like, who she thinks she is? She has so much to say today. Thank you for having much to say today. Maybe I need to give myself some more to say. But we find, and this is what I mean by, like, we spend so much time in the wrong space.
And that's something.
When you have something I need. And it's so funny to me because it's like, are you really going to miss out on a blessing and being a blessing because you feel some kind of way about somebody? You know what? Maybe you don't need to work with them because that's their maturity level. But that's about being smart and being honest and ready to have those tough conversations.
I'm glad that I've kind of toughened up, and we're going to access, because we only have a few minutes, toughened up, because you have to remember when you walk into a room and you know you're being talked about, you just have to know you just closed down the whole room. You know what I'm saying? It happens. That's right. It happens to me. You have to stop worrying about why they don't like you. Because, you know, it's not my fault that not only do the men all pause, but the women get quiet. Right? Isn't that
Or as they say, they'll also say that favor's not fair. It's not fair.
It is not. It really is not. So,
but at the same time, you're cheating yourself. Mm-hmm. I want you to remember that. And that is not from a place of arrogance. It's about knowing whose you are. You're wonderfully and fearfully made, right? Yes. You are a reflection of God. You are an heir of God. Like, you have all of this that He has told us that we are, and we living it out as if,
oh, my.
Can you, like, when you really stop, read, and take in what He says we are?
Yes. Out of it all. We had a question, or? Okay.
I'm enjoying all of this, and I know it's always on purpose. In this last day, I move in purpose, with purpose, and on purpose. I'm older. I don't have time to waste, so I'm enjoying everything that you said. And as you were talking about your mother and your father, that you're made up of a little bit of both of them, I learned an incredible thing from my daughter, my 31-year-old daughter, and being in me and her father both as pastors and co-pastors, co-pastor and pastor. I had a certain image that I wanted for my daughters in ministry. And I will say this one thing that I learned a long time ago: you cannot stay connected. You cannot stay connected to God unless you can be corrected. So if I'm going to have anybody in my life, I need those people that are going to be able to correct me. That is accountability, as minister has said. If I can leave a comment, I was somewhere about a year ago, and I heard a Black female say in a professional setting, she said, real Black women do not compete we collaborate. And when she said that, that particular seed jumped into me. And I live by that. So if I can help the next person, I can. So when I knew that it was a round table, I understood what round table meant. I knew that it was an intimate setting. I knew that it was going to be impactful. I knew that it was a place that I needed to be to encourage, to collaborate with ideas and women of like mind. I say this with my daughters. My daughter said something in a setting, and I'll never forget it. She said, I'm made up of my mom and my dad. She said, but my platform is different, and my identity is different, and the way I move is different. And even though I'm in ministry, I had to learn who I was as an individual, and that I'm not going to take on the same projectile as they do. My identity is different, and if I start looking at my parents as my identity, then they become my God and not the God. And so therefore, when she said that, I learned something. I said, we are believing God to do things with our seed. As you said, Minister, God never wastes the seed. But we must also look at the way God is going to use our people in this day, our young people, whatever we're putting in them now. We have to look and say, it's not going to look like what it looked like for mom and dad. Because you cannot trademark God's anointing, and you cannot trademark God's relationship by basing it upon other folks. So you have to be whatever God is calling you to be in the marketplace. I, like you, I'm ministering. Even though I might not say John 3:16, I'm ministering. And they'll come up, oh, that was so impactful. Because I know that if I did it for you, if I encourage you, the same person that you helped yesterday will have to come back and help you today. So I'm enjoying this, and I thank you for inviting me. I thank God that I'm here on today.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Fields, you had a question?
Yeah,
Okay, really, my question is related to what she was already saying. And the question was, are you saying that we should have accountability partners in all areas of life?
I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. I just know for me and how I operate and how I can get slowful without cause. Or let me say it, because of myself, because of that fear. Again, you're constantly moving. Things are not familiar. You're moving in spaces. When you finally surrender, be ready. And so you're moving, it's unfamiliar, you're meeting new faces, you're building new ideas of trust, you're having to be vulnerable in different places. That's a lot at one time. And you're still producing or doing, whatever it is that you're doing. So you've got all that happening. And then we have lives. So that's a lot of emotions happening.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
It's a good thing.
I think so. I think, and some of us are more disciplined in certain areas, so you may not need all of that. I know for me, a good 2 is what I have, and then of course my mother does a great job at reminding me what I need to be doing.
Oh, I'm sure. Love your mother. Love your mother. There was one more. We're going to take 2 more, and then we're going to have to bring it to a close.
Hi, truly I am enjoying myself. I like the story about Moses and the question that was just asked about accountability, because as we go through the journey as Moses, we do have a life journey. And even sometimes people in your own area or in your ministries or in your workplace or those things that you're growing on, is always to be open to hear and be able to have their gift to know what is being deposited in you correctly. What I like about Moses, even though he was in the camp with leaders and elders and priests and his brother, it had to take Jethro from another faith to let him know,
Amen.
If you're going to carry these people to the promised land, you better stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
He was doing all the work, but he wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Until
Busy.
Jethro said and told him, you have to have leaders accountable to minister. And the only way Moses was able to make it, because he had an open heart and a mind to receive what was ministered to him. So on today, my heart is open to receive, to know that I am all that. I do have it.
You have it.
And long as there's breath in my body, God gonna carry to me to the destination that he has called, not just me, but every last one of us.
Amen.
Because we do have a Jethro. We do have a Joshua.
Yeah.
We do have a Caleb.
Yeah.
We just have to be open up to receive and believe their report.
Yeah.
Not the negative report. Not to say that because I done this and didn't do what I was supposed to do, it's too late. It's not too late. It's not too late for none of us. So I say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. She can't help it. She just acts like that. She doesn't know how not to. She doesn't at all. Go ahead. Someone has the mic. Go ahead, one of our associates.
Thank you for your presence. You spoke to me this morning because I've been fighting for quite a long time. Sister Debra has always included me and reached out to make sure that I stay in the fold, and for that I'm grateful.
Amen.
But I say you spoke to me because I am currently dealing with, my father has a business. I've been working with him for 2 decades now, right? But just over the past year, he's been sick and not in the business. So, of course, all things fall on me. So it's been a balancing act, just trying to figure out, my purpose and my process of doing things, because I know it can't be done quite like his. But so I guess my question today is I understand having good associates. I understand being humble, because I'm humbled every day because of the business that he put forth and the great name that it has. But I'm stuck. I find myself being stuck more days than not because I put so much on my back and then I'm tired. You know what I mean? So thank you for your presence. Okay. Thank you for your transparency. And if you could just help me navigate on how to get unstuck a little bit more, I'd appreciate that too. Thank you.
And we can chat in more detail after. But one thing that pops into my mind is being ready to have real conversation. Because there's a fine line to where you don't want to offend anybody. You don't want to abort the legacy of what mom and dad been there. So even for me, I had to begin, once I found that confidence, still, I'm there now. But it took me all these years to get there, but I'm there. So now I'm able to say, you have to also define what does it look like moving forward for you, if you're gonna stay in that space. Because whenever you cringe, make note, what is making you cringe? There's a root to that. And that's what I mean by oftentimes we get distracted by the other stuff and it's just I just don't feel like, name it. You can't correct it if you don't name it. But most of the times we don't want to name it because we don't want to be honest. Then we don't want to offend. Then we don't want to seem ungrateful. Then we don't want to seem, so it's down this rabbit hole and it's let me just feel the cringe. And then it becomes comfortable though. That's where you don't want to land. Where the cringe that you feel better feeling it than you do not. And now you don't even know what that even feels like to not feel the cringe. That's a bad place to be in. But it can be addressed by real conversation and help. That means sacrifices, that means adjusting, that means coming up with a different plan of what was.
That's wonderful. We are called here to bring balance and to help each other make impact. That's for sure. And just like there is a process to our yes, when we say yes, there is a process to there. There's also, I believe, there's a process to our no.
Oh yeah.
Get ready to say no. There's a way, there's a time, there's a place, and there are the people that we need to say no to as well. And so if there's one more question.
Our last.
I would be remiss if I left here without saying thank you, Dr. L, Dr. Roach, for the anointing, for the leadership, that you have provided here today. We as women, we go through so much. As leaders, whether it's in ministry, business, or whatever, I thank you because you can't impart what you don't possess, as Nicci so beautifully brought out. And we're thankful for the release that's in this room. Amen. Anybody feel a release? Yeah. I no longer feel stuck. Amen. Because there, you know, when, like you said, you can't rise to what you don't live, but baby, when you live it, you can release it to others. So we're grateful for the release to be great, because I'm going to be greater when I leave this room, right? And what I love that was so beautiful, Nicci, you brought out so wonderfully, is that we have everything we need, right? But the power is in our decision. The power is only activated when we use what we have. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wow. This has been an exciting event. The Lord truly blessed us with the wisdom and the knowledge of Nicci Roach. We are excited. Thank you so much. Our feedback has been fabulous in that lives were changed, touched, and moved. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. It has been an honor, and God's speed, God's blessings as you proceed with this ministry. Anything that I can do in this platform can do, know that we are here to support. And I'm looking forward to my next invitation to be in the audience. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And then you can find out more about that. We'll have the link to kingdomwomenministry.com. We'll have more information. So I want to thank each and every one of you for giving us your time. I know something has been shared. I'm hopeful that something has been shared to encourage you that, again, you already have everything you need to be successful. It's just success as you define it. Now, go and walk it out, live it out. So give time and take time.
Thank you.
Thank you.